Jesus, yalla me wade, me dem mandali that baby to. Forward, yam yam, turn away. Africa, baby, say so way. You know me, baby, let's go. Mama Africa, oh, Mama Africa, Mama Africa. Come on, stand up and dance, you come on. Be married to this Africa, maybe say no way. You know me, baby. Let's go. Come on, listen to me, baby. Mama Africa. Oh, Mama Africa. Mama Africa. Come on, let me see you do it. Come on. The show, come on. The show, The show.
No matter where you live or who you are, each of us can help break the chains of COVID-19 transmission. Here's what you can do to protect yourself and others. Cover your cough and sneeze. Clean your hands frequently and thoroughly, especially before and after putting on a mask and going outside or coming home. Avoid crowded places and mass gatherings. Avoid touching surfaces in public as they might be contaminated by someone with the virus. Socialise at a distance. Stay at least 1 meter away from others as much as you can and wear a mask if you can't. If you feel even slightly unwell, stay home. Call your local health authorities and get tested. If you test positive, follow the recommendations from health authorities about how and where you should isolate from others and receive medical care if needed. Make a list of people you have recently been in contact with. Self-quarantine for 14 days if you have been in contact with anyone confirmed with COVID-19. Make sure you follow your local guidance. Each country or area has its own levels of transmission, resources and recommendations, and the situation can change rapidly. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we live, work and connect with others. It is challenging, but together, we can break the chains of COVID-19 transmission.
Hello world, welcome to Africa Let's Talk. My name is Collins Kofi Opon. You can call me Mr. Beyond. If you join the conversation, do me a favor, actually continue to share the video, get your friends and everyone to see the video, because today we have an interesting topic that we'll be talking about. We're talking about the guidelines, wedding guidelines for safe celebrations and for your events. My name once again is Collins Kofi Opon, right here on Africa Let's Talk. Of course, as couples everywhere in the world are facing the COVID-19 pandemic, taking the right actions and how to navigate the ever-changing reality is very, very important, to say the least. Many events and wedding celebrations are taking place around this period. And so we want to know how couples and, of course, their guests, their family can keep safe during this period. With me as a guest today on the program is Mrs. Naa Otsua Abban. She is the CEO of Twinkles Events LLC. So please, if you join me, if you join the conversation, help me to welcome Naa Abban. How are you?
Thank you very much, Collins. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. It's good to see you. How have you been?
I've been okay. I mean, 2020 was supposed to be our best year yet, but look at where we are.
Indeed. Man proposes and God disposes, they say.
That is correct. That is awesome. Correct. Yeah.
All right. So it's good to have you on the show. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about wedding guidelines for safe celebrations and also for events that are taking place even in the period of the COVID-19. I think it has become necessary because people understand that COVID is somehow here to stay, at least for a while. So until it vanishes, life must go on, they say. So I'm happy you actually responded to the call to be on this program with me whilst we talk about some of the safe guidelines that people can take. Before we even go any further, I mentioned that you were the CEO of Twinkles Events. Can you tell us a bit about your company, please?
So Twinkles is a full-time, full-service event planning company. We do day of weddings. We have packages for decor design. We do wedding day management and corporate events, parties and baby showers, anything events. Twinkles is there for you.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks so much for actually giving us an overview of our Twinkle event. But also, if you can also give us a quick overview of the general requirement of hosting events here in Minnesota. I don't know about other states, but of course, my interest is in Minnesota. Can you give us some of the general requirements that comes with hosting events in Minnesota?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Collins. You know, we are a community that loves to celebrate milestones, whether it's birthdays, weddings, you know, graduations. No milestone is too small to celebrate, you know, where we are from. We love to party.
Right.
We take every opportunity, you know, to celebrate. And a lot of people have been affected by this. You know, there's been so many questions, challenges, and I'm happy to be here because people have a lot of questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those questions and, you know, help to share some insights into the safe guidelines for hosting some of these events. Like you rightly said, every state is different. But over here in Minnesota, before the pandemic, the only regulations one had to worry about, you know, with regards to events was maybe the facility space or you know, whether to serve alcohol or, you know, things like that. But most recently, you know, with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been so much to worry about, you know, especially as with new regulations coming in, you know, there are lots of restrictions, which of course has to happen, you know, so that we all stay safe, right? So I've done a lot of work and I'm happy to give you the basic. This is the basic must know, at least for anybody who wants to host an event. This is the basic information that you have to know. Okay. So per the executive order by the governor, the first requirement is for every business, every event or event facility to have a COVID-19 preparedness plan. And this plan is just a written document, you know, that describes how the business or the facility or the event vendor plans to comply to the new regulations and how they aim to keep everyone safe at the event. So that's the first thing. And then we all know that as of July 29th, people in Minnesota are required to wear a face mask, you know, face covering in all businesses and public indoor spaces. Indoor and outdoor, actually, you know, masks are required at every event, even at a private event, you know, and this includes any staff working for you at the event, photographer, caterers, you know, staff, planners, florists, anybody who's working for that event also has to put on the mask, including the guests who have been invited. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing to know is that for every event space or venue, the limit for indoor and outdoor should not be more than 25% of the occupant capacity. Or 250 persons max. You know, and this includes, again, all the workers and the guests. That's the mistake that we make. When you hear that, oh, the facility sits maybe 150 people, you're thinking, so I can invite 150 people. But no. The number includes all the employees in the facility, all the event vendors that you have, the guests, and yourself. That makes up the number, yes. And then for every event, I'm sorry. So, were you saying something?
No, you may go ahead, please.
Okay. And then for every event, you have to seat up to 4 people. 4 people are allowed at a table. However, members of the same household can be 6. And, you know, household here means living in the same unit, same living units, you know. So you seat 4 people or 6 who are from the same household. And I'm sure we'll go into details as we go along, but these are a few general things to keep in mind.
Thank you so very much for actually giving us the overview of what it is, especially in Minnesota. If you join the conversation once again, this is Africa Let's Talk. My name is Collins Kofi Opon. You can call me Mr. Beyond. Today, we are talking about wedding guidelines for safe celebrations and of events. And I have the privilege of actually hosting and speaking with the CEO of Twinkles Events, LLC here in Minnesota, Naa Otsua Abban. So please, if you have any questions, you have any feedback, any concerns, something is worrying your mind and you want to know, especially if you are into events and maybe you're the couple trying to plan your wedding, this is the conversation for you, and you can ask your questions at the appropriate time. Now, I will bring you back in. Now, of course, I want to know, are there any specific rules regarding mask at events, especially weddings? Because now, like you mentioned, that since July 29th, mask has been become like a compulsory thing for everyone.
Right.
But with regards to weddings, are there any specific rules we need to know?
Well, masks are required for every event, indoor or outdoor. However, there are some situations where you can take the mask off briefly, like when you're a speaker at the event. There's an exemption, because you're speaking, or when you're eating or when you're drinking, after which the mask has to be back on. For weddings, masks are required. However, the bride and the groom, and then maybe the officiant for the ceremony, do not have to wear a mask during the ceremony, given that they're speaking. So they have that exemption. So long as they are socially distanced, the groom, the bride, and the officiant are fine. They don't have to wear a mask.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's amazing. Thanks so much. If you join the conversation and you have any questions, please do so. Otherwise, keep sharing the video so that we get more people to see this video. The next thing I want to know is that since gatherings have been downsized in the season, are there any limits at events at home? Because I know people are doing events at home or a private facility that is not actually licensed for commercial use.
There is actually, a new guideline came out, I think July 30th. And
okay.
Yes, and even with a COVID-19 preparedness plan, the maximum legal amount of guests you can host at a home or a private facility that is not licensed is 25 people outdoors and 10 people indoors. Remember, I said this count includes everybody. So say you're having like a small wedding in the house and you're having it indoors, maybe in your basement. The 10 includes your photographer, it includes your DJ, it includes your MC, everybody in the premises, and whatever capacity that they're there for is scheduled in the count. And this makes it really tough because as 10 people in a home for an event is really tough.
Wow, that is interesting. So I mean, this is more of about private events. So if there's a private event of any nature and there's an individual guest who chooses not to follow the rules, what happens?
Well, like every rule, there's this is a law, right? And you have to follow the law. It's a regulation that you have to follow. If you don't, you'll be in trouble. So I believe that it is. Let me just pull this up right here for just a second. I know that there's a fine, if you.
Oh,
if you
really?
Yeah. There's actually a fine, if you don't. Okay, there it is. So the guidelines are supposed to be state laws. We have to follow them, right? So if you willfully violate an executive order, it is considered a misdemeanor, and you are subject to a fine of up to $1,000 or imprisonment for not more than 90 days. Now, even though it's unlikely for a policeman to come and knock on your door and, kind of see how many people you have in there and check in to see how many people you're hosting, that shouldn't be a reason for you not to follow the rules. You have to follow the rules because these rules are there for our own good. They are there to keep us safe. They are there to limit the exposure, of our family and friends, So don't think that a policeman is not going to come and just come and count the people that you have in there. And so you're going to go over the number, the 10 or the 25 that private events are supposed to host. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so very much, Anna, for your great insights as far as events and safeguarding the interest of the guests, of the couples, and of course of workers are concerned. Once again, this is Africa Let's Talk. If you join the conversation, we are talking about wedding guidelines for the celebrations and of course events happening in most parts of the state, especially during this period of COVID-19. Please share the video, get your friends to see the video, do watch party, and let's have some insight into what we should do so that you can be at ease even whilst you celebrate your big day or whilst you celebrate any event that may come. Of course, the next thing I want to know is that planning an event during this pandemic can be hard. I mean, I can just imagine of all the rules and everything you're talking about, it obviously means that it can be hard for everyone. So what is required as far as seating is concerned, seating arrangements and social distancing? If people are planning for their events and now they have to talk and plan for seating arrangements, what do they have to keep in mind?
That's right. So this is also a regulation that we have to follow. As I mentioned earlier, guest tables are very, very important right now. At every event, whether it's a social gathering or a wedding, you are required to seat no more than 4 people.
Yeah.
No more than 4 people at the table, and then 6 if they are from the same household. Now, the only exception to this is that if there are 6 people in one household, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
They can sit together. Mask is still required, but they can still sit together, you know.
Oh, okay.
But if they're not from the same household, then it has to be only 4 people. Okay.
4 people.
So this, so for a wedding, you know how in the past we would have a wedding and we have the whole bridal table and, you know, the wedding party is like 15 and everybody is at the table. We can't do that anymore. We have to scrap all of that. Yeah, we have to scrap all of that. And I also want to add that, you know, if it's an option at your venue or, you know, a rental company, decrease the guest size table.
Yeah.
Because if you have like a 60-inch round table, right, and you're seating only 4 to 6 people, it looks a little awkward. So you can ask, if you're having an event, you can ask the venue if they have smaller tables just to make the seating arrangement nice, you know.
All right. Thanks so much for actually giving insights. And the next thing I want to know is, I mean, everybody wants to keep safe whilst we go about to celebrate our big days, being its wedding, other events, here and there, even birthday parties and all of these anniversary events that are taking place. So the next thing I want to know is that what are some of the recommendations for keeping everyone at these events safe as much as possible? What are some of the things you would recommend for us?
So I mean, we're not in normal times, you know. Everything has changed around us, you know. So for every event, I strongly recommend that you have that COVID-19 preparedness plan in place. You know, because when you read the guidelines, it even says when you're having an event at home, you should have that COVID-19 preparedness plan. You know, it just details what you want to do if anybody falls, you know, sick, or anybody who's supposed to come in and work at the event is not feeling well, what they're supposed to do, you know, and all that. And then how you are going to keep your guests safe at an event, you know. So I will say have that COVID preparedness, COVID-19 preparedness plan. And then when you give family and friends roles to play at an event, it makes them feel special, right? So I will say assign someone who is in charge of the entire safety and sanitation, you know, just give him him or her, a big title like a sanitation coordinator or something.
Yeah.
You know, just someone, you know, just making sure that, you know, the supplies are there, the hand sanitizers are there, disinfectant wipes are there, just checking and making sure that, you know, everything is fine. You can also have a hand sanitizing station. You know, it's highly recommended these days. A lot of people are doing that. You know, you have that at every event that you organize. For me, food and beverage is a big thing, you know, and I think we should find creative ways to serve. I will say personalized, pre-packed, you know, grab and go boxes, nicely done, custom made, you know, with something about the event, you know, that people can just grab and go. You know, we can't do the traditional buffets and family style service, you know, and all that. We can't do that. all, I mean, we can't do all of that anymore. It's not safe, So I will say package the foods in a very nice grab and go box. When it comes to the event itself, I'll say limit the number of speakers for the event. I'll use wedding as an example. You want to limit the number of people who are speaking, how people give different speeches and words of advice and this and that. All that is fine, but I will say limit the speakers, and make arrangements so that they maintain the social distancing.
Yeah.
And then whenever possible, everybody can have an individual mic if it's possible. If it's not, and the microphone has to be shared, we just have to consider cleaning them between the speakers and cleaning them in a very, nice way where it's not like everybody is seeing that the microphone is being
cleaned.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's interesting. Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I'm saying those are some of the things that I will say, we should look out for.
Okay. Now, with regards to food, and I know you mentioned the buffet, which is actually very popular with wedding reception. Of course, I was speaking to an event place, and they were saying that, hey, yes, the guests can file pass the buffet, but now they are not going to allow the guests to hold the
to serve themselves.
To serve themselves and all of that. So you do think such a recommendation is also appropriate, especially around this period?
It very well is, yes, because for a facility like that, I'm sure that they have one person or maybe two max assigned to serve, So those people are the only ones who will be touching the utensils and, serving the food. So that's absolutely fine.
All right. Thank you so very much, Naa Otsua Abban. We're talking about wedding guidelines for safe celebrations and, of course, events. So if you are into event, like I said earlier, or if you're actually planning an event as a couple for your wedding, anniversary, or whatsoever, these are some of the guidelines that you need to be aware, because we want to celebrate life. But in the same vein, we also want to protect ourselves so that we are actually safe from this, from the scourge of the coronavirus. The next thing I want to know is also about, I hear a lot about health screening at events. Can you throw some light on what this is all about and how events people should go about it?
Right. So for health screenings, there's really no specific regulation or guideline for events. There are guidelines for other things, but for events, health screenings are not required, but they are strongly recommended, just to keep everybody safe. And this doesn't mean that you have to have somebody at the door, checking temperatures and all that at your wedding, or your party or something like that, Mayo Clinic, they have a COVID-19 self-assessment tool. Minnesota Department of Health, they also have a guest and employee health screening checklist. So if you're having an event and you want to include the health screening, you can send those links out by email or by text to all your guests and all your vendors. And then you can ask them to respond within maybe 24 hours of the start time of the event. Yeah. And of course, we all know that when you're not feeling well, just stay at home, right? So I think that if you have the links, if you are concerned and you want to include health screening at your event, you can send out these links ahead of time, like I said.
All right. So that's very important. Of course, another thing that is of huge implications for the African is dancing at events. Now, with everything going on and social distancing, how do people go about dancing on the dancing floor?
Hey, I mean, what is an African event without dancing? So thankfully, DJs and bands are allowed at events.
Okay.
For a band, social distancing must be maintained even during the performances, for the band. But a DJ is always by himself, or maybe he has one assistant or something, and they have to be able to stay apart. One thing that this pandemic has taught us, or if it hasn't taught us anything at all, I'm sure that we've learned to be creative in this time.
Yeah.
So people are being forced to come up with creative ways of doing things, and
Mm-hmm.
dancing is one area, that we need to modify in this season. We love
Mm-hmm.
to dance, so I will say be creative with with that part of the planning.
Mm-hmm.
Symbolic dances, symbolic
Oh, okay.
dances are becoming a big thing. So you can have, I'm going to use, I tend to use weddings a lot as my example
Yeah.
because I do a lot of weddings.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're having a wedding, you want to do a symbolic dance, like maybe just the siblings of the bride at a time, or
Mm-hmm.
just the siblings of the groom, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe four aunties of the bride at a time. Just come up with symbolic dances like that. If it's
Yeah.
a corporate event that you're having, you can do it by maybe departments or something. If the event is color coded, you can say those in red or those in blue, and
Mm-hmm.
of course on the dance floor, make sure that they're 6 feet apart. You can also limit the dance floor to
Mm-hmm.
maybe 6 to 10 people at a time. That is, if you're not doing any of these symbolic dances, you can just, right now, like we stated earlier, every table seats 4 or 6. So you can
Mm-hmm.
even decide that you're going to go table by table,
Oh, okay.
pair the DJ's music choice, or
Mm-hmm.
pair the person hosting the event's music choice, or something like that. So we have to be creative. We
Creative.
cannot
Yeah.
take the dancing out of the event, but we
No
have
way.
to be we have to be creative. So you can limit 6 to 10 people at a time. Require the mask, of course, and let your family and
Mm-hmm.
friends have a blast if whenever you're having an event. Yeah.
All right, that's amazing. Actually, Kennedy Mensah says, thanks for the insightful education. For emphasis, can you keep the mask off for as long as you are eating and drinking, or after every bite, the mask has to go back on? I mean, so this is something people are confused about. How do we deal with this reality?
Well, I mean, taking the mask on and off during meals is not ideal. I will
Oh,
say
okay.
finish your meal and then put the mask back on.
Okay, maybe what I would say that whilst you are eating, just look into your plate. Don't be looking
Exactly.
in all directions. Thanks so much,
That's
Kennedy,
right.
for your comments and for your question. Thanks so much, Antina, for actually being on the show to talk about some of the guidelines that we need to be aware of so that we can have very safe celebrations for our events and especially for weddings. And before I let you go, is there any advice that you can give to anyone that is planning for an event? Like I mentioned earlier, this is a tough time to do this. Is there any advice, you being into events planning?
You know, there's so much to worry about during this time, and there's so much we cannot control at the same time. And so the advice that I would give is that we cannot put our lives on hold.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot put our lives on hold. Do something that is manageable. As I said already, we love to celebrate every milestone. I
Mm-hmm.
have a friend who says now we'll celebrate anything from her son losing his tooth. So do something that is manageable and within the guidelines. That way you can focus on enjoying the event rather than celebrating in fear and worry, and worrying about who's standing next to me and who just sneezed, and
Mm-hmm.
all that. Do something that is manageable. Everybody's mind is free to enjoy the celebration,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody is worried about who is next to each other. Like I said,
Yeah.
every day that passes is a memorable time that we lose. So I will say, let's not put our lives on hold. Let's do what we have to do by celebrating the milestones, but follow the precautions and the regulations and the guidelines that we have. I mean, I remember there was a lady who was talking about wearing her mask during during the during a wedding.
Oh, okay.
She didn't want her guests to
Mm-hmm.
wear mask because she didn't want the to spoil her wedding pictures.
Oh, so she was concerned about the picture.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she was concerned about, pictures during the wedding. She was like, oh, and how is she going to be, showing pictures of her wedding? And is everybody wearing a mask, and all that? But we have to keep safe.
Mhm.
We have to keep safe. These rules are there, to keep us all safe. Would you want a situation where your event is what causes the ill health of somebody?
Mhm.
Sometimes we overthink these things, but
Yeah.
we have to look back and talk to our grandchildren and tell them that this was a testimony in our time.
Indeed. We've really experienced this for sure.
Yeah.
We've really also actually I was just showing a picture of an event I believe 2 days ago, and you can
Okay.
see that some of them obviously are wearing the mask, but the couples in this case, like you mentioned, because they are actually standing close to each other, I believe they didn't need
Right.
to wear the mask. Thanks
Right.
so
And
much. Yeah, please go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, and if
Mhm.
it's just the pictures, you can take it off, no talking, nothing, and then just take the picture and then quickly put it back on if it's a big
Mhm.
problem for you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. I think that is also very, very important. I mean, if it's
Mhm.
indeed it's a big problem. But then this is really, really helpful. We truly appreciate. If there's any more changes that will come with time, I would
Yes.
definitely love to have you back on the
Mhm.
show so that we keep talking about it and updating it. Like you said, we cannot put our lives on hold. And definitely around this time, we need some of these guidelines to be aware of and make the right changes and adjustments with regards to events. Before I let you go, do you have any closing comments, passing comments, please?
Um, Nothing really. Let's just follow the precautions. This virus is real. It's out there. Let's not think that because things are opening up, we can let our guards down. Let's take the precautions. Let's wash our hands,
Mhm.
sanitize, and of course, right here in Minnesota, you mask up. So let's do
Yes.
that. Let's stay safe and let's keep celebrating. Life is short.
Life indeed is short. Let's keep celebrating. Once again, thanks so much, the CEO of Twinkles Event LLC, Naa Otsua Abban. We truly,
Thank
truly
you for
appreciate
having
your
me.
time.
Thank
All
you. Thank
right.
you very much.
You welcome. All right. Once again, this is African Let's Talk just gone by. Is the CEO of Twinkles Event LLC. You heard it off yourself. If you missed the first part of the conversation, I would entreat you after the program to actually listen and also share the video so that you can invite others to watch and be part of this great, great thing we're doing. Once again, my name is Collins Kofi Opon. You can call me Mr. Beyond. A couple of announcements. Pumulani is actually coming up with the Healing Circles. This one is Saturday, August 15th. So please, I believe they have just about 1 or 2 more spots for people to participate. So please, if you want to be part of this, then what you can do is to call 612-231-9421, 612-231-251-9421, so that you can be part of this. Around this period, we need conversations around circles that will heal depression, that will heal anxiety, especially among women. So Pumulani is actually doing this for you. Pumulani is also actually providing a lot of help in the area of shelter, financial support, food supplies, and of course counseling. If you find yourself in any of these situations, or you know somebody who is actually especially facing homelessness, they are here to help you. All you have to do is to call the number 612-251-9421, or you can always reach out to African Let's Talk, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with some of these resources that are coming up. Of course, Jordana is also doing wonders with online tutorials. Indeed, in this period of distancing and everything, what comes as a big, big, big opportunity is the fact that children can stay home and learn subjects like maths and science at the comfort of their homes. All you have to do is to sign up today at www.myjordana.com. Once again, www.myjordana.com, so that you can be part of this great, great, great innovation of online tutorials. And they have the best pool of tutors across the nation of United States. They have flexible scheduling, and you can also select your subject and topics, and it's also pay as you go. So this is something that is of huge benefit to everyone, and you want to be part of this. Actually, Africa Let's Talk, on every Friday, we are coming up with something huge. That is the Friday African Turn Up. We realize that we also need good music around this period. So every Friday, between the hours of 6 and about 8 p.m. we'll be dishing out great music. DJ D, also known as the Sound Tenor, will be our resident DJ dishing out great music every Friday. Thanks again once, everyone, for being a part of today's program. Like I said, if you missed the first part, you can always go back and watch it and also share the video so that you can get more people to actually see this. We truly appreciate everyone for being a part. The production team here at Africa Let's Talk, a big thank you. And also want to once again thank Naa Otsua Abban for actually being on the show to talk about the wedding guidelines for safe celebrations. My name is Collins Kofi Oppong. Until we come here again next week with actually tomorrow. Yes, we're coming again tomorrow with another exciting edition. It has to do with racial equity in the period of the COVID-19, and this time the focus will be on the faith. On the faith community. So we're going to have pastors of churches and, of course, a nurse to discuss this very important topic to see how COVID-19 has affected all of them. Thanks so much for being on the show. Until we come again next time, like tomorrow, like I said, have a safe evening. And please, take care of yourself and take care of those around you as well. God bless you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victory Binker. I'm a 7-year-old opera singer, and I'm also an actress. I come from a big family. I have 10 brothers and sisters. I recently learned about this census and how important it is that everyone in your household is counted, including kids. The census tells us about how many people live in the United States and lots of other neat facts about our country. And when we respond to the census, we support schools, businesses, and other families in our community. So I'm asking all the kids out there, whether you live with your parents, grandparents, or other guardians, make sure you're counted in the 2020 census. It's easy, safe, and important. Visit 2020census.gov to learn more.
No matter where you live or who you are, each of us can help break the chains of COVID-19 transmission. Here's what you can do to protect yourself and others. Cover your cough and sneeze. Clean your hands frequently and thoroughly, especially before and after putting on a mask and going outside or coming home. Avoid crowded places and mass gatherings. Avoid touching surfaces in public as they might be contaminated by someone with the virus. Socialize at a distance. Stay at least 1 meter away from others as much as you can, and wear a mask if you can't. If you feel even slightly unwell, stay home. Call your local health authorities and get tested. If you test positive, follow the recommendations from health authorities about how and where you should isolate from others, and receive medical care if needed. Make a list of people you have recently been in contact with. Self-quarantine for 14 days if you have been in contact with anyone confirmed with COVID-19. Make sure you follow your local guidance. Each country or area has its own levels of transmission, resources, and recommendations, and the situation can change rapidly. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we live, work, and connect with others. It is challenging, but together, we can break the chains of COVID-19 transmission.
Jesus, your love.